What drives you crazy about yourself? It is conflict week at our raw material. I am Tavish Cardiff, and we are here to gather around the tough stuff. Conflict is a physical week. We're talking about how we shove things in our body that make us get triggered or keep us from being able to breathe clearly, creating energetic debris around the things that stick with us, therefore becoming the things that bother us. Conflict is natural. It is when opposing forces come against each other or opposing ideas, and that can happen even within our own body. We have conflict within ourselves. We have conflict that is ourself versus another person, and we have conflict where we feel like it's us against the world. And those are really the three ways that we can break down the types of conflict that exist. We each have some degree of conflict in our mind, body, in the way that we relate to the world, in the way that we perceive things, or the way that we wish that others saw the world. Conflict is rampant and it is organic. Without conflict resolution, we would find unyielding forces coming against each other. And I was working in the garden today, and just the root systems, when they cut each other off, that's conflict. One way is going to make it through and one way isn't. No matter what type of conflict we encounter, if we are calm within ourselves, we have the tools to handle it. If we are triggered by the conflict, if we are wound up, we're going to find ourselves less equipped to deal with whatever's in front of us. Knowing what type of fighter you are, knowing what style you have when it comes to conflict is helpful in just negotiating or getting your point across. If we try to navigate conflict while we are upset, we very likely will not have the reasoning available that helps us get to the conflict resolution. And without reasoning, we're just two forces coming at each other. And that doesn't resolve conflict. So if you fight dirty, own up to it. If you're a scaredy cat, own up to that too. Do you have a voice? Do you use it? Know what your mode is so that you can measure it against other people's, looking at the best way to navigate these situations so that natural conflict arrives at an easy, greater good type of solution. Conflict is designed to help us move things into one direction or another. No matter what we come up against, whether it's within ourselves or within the context of dealing with other people, we are always going to need a method to resolve. We need to know what is valuable to us, what's important to us, and we need to know what we really want to stand for. Our values list comes into play here because when we are clear about what we value, we're going to be really clear about what we're willing to fight for. Conflict a lot of times comes up just because we're in a mood. And if we are entering into conflicts, picking fights just because we're moody, that's an inability to deal with how we feel. And that's creating a situation to justify feelings of unsettledness. So when you feel unsettled, go in there and figure out what it is. That's your own internal conflict. Before that conflict becomes external, check to see if you can resolve it within yourself. Conflict gives us that opportunity to pause and reflect, to take a step back, to look, to breathe, and to take the bigger picture into account, to get the broader lay of the land so that when we come back with our solution, it's a solid solution. And somebody else might be coming with a different solution as well. Might be solid too. We might have to discuss the merits of each way, but if we are screaming for what we want rather than working together, we're just creating more conflict. In order to stay as conflict-free as we can, the best tool for that is breathing. Yes, our baseline breath keeps us alive. It does the bare minimum to keep our bodies working the way that they're supposed to. With intention, with a little increase in energy, a bigger breath and a bigger exhale will yield movement within our bodies. If we go breathing in search of where we have tense places and where we're tight, if we go searching for the conflict that exists in our own muscles and in our own, the inflammation that gets created from just overuse and overwork, then we start to see an expansion of our own ability to resolve physical health conflict, physical things within our body that become problems, illnesses, dis-ease if we aren't taking care of how we feel about them. I don't want to say that all conflict comes from emotion, but it's a good place to start. If we know how we feel, we know how to approach the fight. The practice guidance for this week is to search your body, scan your body for the areas that have conflict, sore muscles, sore joints, places where you can't get fluid movement. Breathe into those areas. Exhale, breathe, exhale, breathe, exhale. Do that over and over with increasing intensity so that it gives you an opportunity to hear beyond the anger, beyond the frustration, beyond the conflict, to the components that went into it to begin with. The things that created the dis-ease in our bodies from the outset. Conflict Week gives us a chance to, with intention, go through and find the spots that are tight before they get triggered on their own. Thank you for being here. As always, I appreciate your time and attention. I'll be back next week to talk about intention, and have a great week. You can catch us on our website, ourrawmaterial.com, Facebook, Instagram, if we're there. Thanks.